Hello and welcome back. I'm David with Agricultural Economic Insights, talking today about the chart of the week. And this week, we're thinking about crop insurance coverage levels, and specifically relative to production costs. And we had a couple different articles in recent weeks. I've linked to them down below in the comments, and you could, of course, read and follow along. But the idea here is we have those spring crop insurance prices, and what's the safety net look like? And the truth of the matter is that safety net, the effectiveness often depends on where commodity prices are relative to production expenses. And one of the ways that we looked at this is what's the 80% crop insurance coverage levels less total economic costs. And total economic costs cover, you know, charge for everything, so land and equipment and labor. And the idea that we're trying to capture here is, what's that worst case scenario that producers might be facing? There are a couple things to keep in mind here, a couple trends to keep in mind here. And the one is that we have a tight margin situation, and agriculture is not a stranger to tight margin situations. And in a different chart, we took a look at the share of variable costs plus cash rent that was covered. And corn and soybeans were both near some historic lows, but not setting records in that context. But what stands out here in this particular chart is that the overall high cost structure is what puts a little more skin in the game. The stakes are a little bit higher to play this round. And so you can see here in this worst case scenario, the economic shortfall between the economic costs and crop insurance coverage at the 80% threshold could be around $350 an acre for corn and soybean. Corn the last 2 years, soybeans are closer to $300 an acre in economic losses, and that's a pretty big change just from year over year. So soybean safety net is less effective. Corn is about the same as it was maybe a year ago. Again, this the magnitudes are going to vary, and the relative difference between corn and soybeans is going to vary as you move around the corn belt, as you plug your specific farm numbers in here. But the idea that are going to be consistent as you zoom out and probably relevant to most folks watching here, or folks who work with farmers that are watching this, is that soybean safety net has less coverage than it did a year ago. In both cases, the total dollars at stake are some of the highest that we've seen in history, probably the biggest that we've seen in history. And why that's important is because we might need to reevaluate our working capital levels and make sure we're adjusting those working capital levels to reflect the overall uh, challenges, the magnitudes, and also the the relative losses that we have here in this situation. So it's looking like it's potentially another difficult year for corn and soybean producers. We've shown this in several different uh, data points and observations, but again, it's important to recognize this and make plans accordingly. That's all we have for this week. Until next time, stay curious.